Hey, our Dolphins Today community continues to grow and grow, and that's a testament to each and every one of you for subscribing. But if you haven't yet, you got to smash that sub button because we're bringing you all the latest on the Aqua and Orange, breaking news and covering the team from all angles. That's what makes it fun, and that is why you subscribe to Dolphins Today. Today, we're diving into the playoff picture, so let's do it next on Dolphins Today. As if you didn't already know everything that's on the line for this huge game for the Dolphins against the Ravens, we're breaking it down for you on Dolphins Today. I am your host, Jake Riepma. Thanks so much for tuning in. And Joe Shad, one of the Dolphins insiders, put it perfectly on the old Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, the internet, you know, that thing that we all go to. Here we go. If the Dolphins upset the Ravens on Sunday, they'll win the AFC East for the first time since 2008. They'll clinch a top 2 AFC seed for the first time since 1992 and win 12 games for the first time since 1990. So, oh my, that's a lot to digest, but don't worry, we got you covered here. We're making it simple and asking you very simply, yes or no, will the Dolphins earn that number 1 seed? Now, the Ravens earn the number 1 seed and clinch it with a win. Now, the Dolphins, however, will have to win both games to clinch that number 1 seed. Remember, Week 18 against the Buffalo Bills. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, so real quick, just let me know in the comments, do you believe the Dolphins will earn that number 1 seed? Type Y for yes or N for no. Now, let's just talk about some scenarios. You guys know I love the New York Times Playoff Simulator, so I had a little fun with it today, and I'm a positive guy. You guys know that about me, so I'm starting with the best case scenario. Here's how it breaks down if the Dolphins go 2-0 and win the game in Week 17 against the Ravens, and of course in Week 18 against the Buffalo Bills. I think you'll like what you see. Obviously, they've already clinched the playoffs, but you're over 100% likely to have that first round bye. You can book it, put it in ink if you go 2-0 down the stretch. Now, with that said, obviously, there is a lot that has to happen, but when you think about the ordeal of controlling your own destiny, this is the definition to a T. You win both games, you get what you're striving for. You get that number 1 seed. You get that first round bye. You get home field advantage all the way throughout the playoffs, and obviously that is crucial. Now, let's say we do a little worst case scenario here, and you go 0-2 in your final 2 games. Well, you see it on the screen there. It doesn't look great. Less than a 1% chance to earn that number 1 seed. And more than likely, you're going to be on the road, an 85% chance that you'll be on the road as opposed to hosting. That's if you go 0-2. Now, let's break it all down in every single angle, as we always do on Dolphins Today. The playoff seeding probabilities. And I'm not a math guy. You guys know that about me. So let's just work through this one by one together because we care about each other. All right, playoff seeding, number 1 seed. There's a 28% chance, according to the New York Times playoff simulator that runs millions and millions and millions of simulations. So number 1 seed rolls in at 28%. Again, what that entails is beating the Ravens and then beating the Bills at home. Number 2 seed, that's a 43% chance. So a lot of times with those simulations, if you go 1-1, maybe you lose to the Ravens, beat the Bills, so on and so forth, then you're looking at that number 2 seed in all likelihood. But again, not to discredit how important this game against the Ravens is, but let's say you lose that game, then obviously the Dolphins have to beat the Bills in Week 18 to avoid catastrophe that we talked about earlier. Now, number 3 seed, very unlikely based on the way the rest of the AFC playoff picture is playing out. Only a 2% chance there, and there's absolutely no chance for the number 4 seed. Just again, the way the playoff picture is working out in terms of tiebreakers, there's 0% chance the Dolphins will not be the number 4 seed. So we skip ahead to the number 5 seed. That's where you start to get on the road and you're no longer at the friendly confines of Hard Rock Stadium. There's a 4% chance in all likelihood that will happen. Again, we're starting to get into that worst case scenario territory that we want to avoid because we're thinking positive here, right? And how about the number 6 seed? That's at 24%. And again, that is another worst case scenario where you're playing on the road because in all likelihood, you've lost both those games. So let's do a little prediction time together. Let me know in the comments. Give me a number. Predict what seed the Dolphins will be. And remember, in all likelihood, I wouldn't say all likelihood. That's what these simulations are for, right? We're hoping a 1 or a 2 seed, but let me know what you believe. And what also makes this enjoyable for Dolphins fans, or maybe painful, however you want to look at it, is the Dolphins control their own destiny, like I said, and that number 1 seed is right there for the taking, my friends, because yes, it's a tough task, but as we've said time and time again with this team, we're sick of the narrative that they can't beat the good teams. They can't win on the road. They can't win meaningful games. All of that can be squashed and put to bed as we go to the playoffs if the Dolphins win these next 2 games. All right, we've taken a look at the Dolphins side of things in regards to the playoff seeding, but up next we're going to look at the entire AFC and start to cherry pick where we could see the Miami Dolphins end up. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to today's presenting sponsor, Prize Picks. You know, prizepicks.com/CLNS is where the magic happens because we're giving away up to $100 in a deposit match at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Prize Picks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy platform, and they're also the only daily fantasy platform with an insurance policy and a reboot policy. So if one of your players gets injured in the first half, that player is rebooted and removed from the equation. So how about that? And you want to know, Jake, how does it work? Well, here, I'll show you by example. So for every game, I've got some Dolphins prize picks out there, and here's what I'm working with in Week 17. I like Devon Achane to find pay dirt and get into the end zone. At Prize Picks right now is 0.5 in his projected touchdown, total touchdown, so it can be receiving or rushing, and I think he'll find the end zone. So I'm picking more there, and the same can be said with Tyreek Hill. I'm picking more for his projected total touchdown stat line. I think he gets in the end zone as well. I don't care how hard you game plan against him. He is the cheetah, and he's going to find the end zone, and I think the Dolphins' defense is going to keep the Ravens out of the offense, out of the end zone, I should say, so they're going to be settling for some field goals. So I'm picking Justin Tucker with 1.5 more field goals made than less. So how about that? You go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. And what do I always say? We love you and we care about you. So we're putting that link right in the comments and the description of today's video. So there's no excuses, people. No excuses. You just got to click on the link. prizepicks.com/CLNS. All right, the AFC playoff picture is constantly changing, just like the NFC playoff picture, and a lot of it will be determined based on what happens. Actually, all of it will be determined based on what happens in the coming weeks. But here's where we stand right now. You know, the Ravens have that number 1 seed. The Dolphins have also clinched a playoff spot at 11-4. There's no chance the Chiefs can host a playoff game, so Patrick Mahomes and whatever else is going on in Kansas City will have to go on the road. And then that AFC South is still wide open, completely up in the air, 3-way tie for first with Houston, Indianapolis, and Jacksonville, all 8-7. And then you start to think, who could the Dolphins potentially be playing if they win out and get that AFC East title and perhaps even the number 1 seed if they're able to win out and beat the Ravens as well. Because those Bills, you got to give them credit as much as we hate them. They have turned their season around and now are in prime position in the wild card spot to earn a playoff spot. Now, why is it so important for the Dolphins to have home field advantage? Well, if you've been watching this team all season, you know how drastically different the splits have been from home games compared to the away games. Now, and that's pretty common in the NFL. Obviously, teams enjoy playing in their home stadium for obvious reasons. But the drastic difference the Dolphins have seen this year really reiterates how important it is for them to clinch home field advantage throughout the playoffs. 7-1 at home compared to 4-3 on the road. That makes a lot of sense. Points per game, up at home compared to on the road. Opponents' points per game, down at home compared to on the road. So everything you'd want statistically points to the Dolphins needing to host games. I will say, though, they have been better on third down on the road than at home, but not too much of a drastic difference there to make too much of that. But point being, this Dolphins team wants to play at home, and that is why it's so important for the Dolphins to earn a home playoff spot, and they can do so by controlling their own destiny and winning the next 2 games. Want to thank everybody for tuning in to this edition of Dolphins Today. And if you like what you see, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, but do it on a trial basis. Subscribe for a week. If you don't love every video and every angle of Dolphins coverage that we provide, you can unsubscribe, and I won't hold it against you. But we welcome we welcome all subscribers. That's how this Dolphins Today community has grown and grown to over 53,000 subscribers, and we appreciate each and every one of them. And, of course, we love bringing you Dolphins content every single day and our live watch shows, which if you haven't joined us for a live watch show, you are missing out. Set your calendar, your iPhone reminder, whatever it is to remind you to join our watch party. We'll be on the air an hour before kickoff at noon on Sunday for the season's biggest game against the Baltimore Ravens. Want to thank producer Chip on the 1s and 2s today. Couldn't do it without him, helping keep Dolphins Today on the air. And as always, we appreciate you tuning in and hope you'll subscribe. And we'll see you next time on Dolphins Today.